with bricks attached to the horns. And what's crazy about that is so there's this cool ass scene where Letitia takes a bat and there's this gospel music playing in the background. Yeah, that shit was hot. That shit was fire. Yo, what's up, people? Welcome to the Gifted Biscuit podcast, hosted by me, Jahlil Tobee, a.k.a. Captain CoStar, a.k.a. Mr. Thick Beard, Bad Body, a.k.a. the guy with the Google Eye. Yo, what's going on? Welcome to episode 1 of what is soon to become your favorite place for inspiration, motivation, and all that shit in between. And let me put a disclaimer. I curse a lot. So if that's not what you want, or if you're close to your parents, please understand that whatever trouble you get into because of my mouth, that's on you. Now, before we start, let me just take the time to thank everyone for their support. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. Let me also say that you can take the show on the go. This episode and many others will be available on Spotify, iTunes, and wherever you get your major podcasts. Just search Gifted Biscuits on your favorite app. Follow us and enjoy. If you do like it, hey, make sure to rate us 5 stars. It helps us move up the algorithm, which helps us gain more exposure and keeps my lights on because I'm poor. Today that I'm recording this is September 1st, 2020, and it's a new month, which is filled with possibilities. So on to our main topics. The first one being, of course, you're probably like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, why am I here? How did I get here? What's going on? I clicked random words, now I'm here. And if you're from my Instagram, my Twitter, hey, what's up? Follow me, follow your guy. So, I started this podcast, the Gifted Biscuits podcast, because let me just start off by saying that I never really considered myself a creative years ago. And I barely consider myself one now. But due to coronavirus, due to COVID-19, due to that Rona, I've had free time to really expand and experience new things and get in touch with myself creatively. So because of that, what I'm saying is, I realized that if I wanted to do this, there are other people that wanted to do that too, and they may be looking for resources, they may be looking for anecdotal evidence, they may be looking for someone who's on a similar journey as them so that they can, see what it's like and see how I grow, and maybe that'll, influence them, and also just to give an outlet for my own creativity, as well as just let other people know, hey, you can do this too. Everything that I've done, everything that I'm gonna do, my main thing is I want people to know you can do this too. And I've also set this podcast up as just a place for people to come to for motivation, for questions that need to be answered, for really just to know that there's a black man out there like you, going through the same stuff like you as a creative, and just opening up a dialogue to talk about those, those triumphs, those struggles, those trials, whatever, what have you, So again, like I said, thank you for listening so much. This show will continue to evolve. You know what they say, build an airplane while you're flying it. So thanks for sticking around. So speaking of, trials, tribulations, one thing that I want to talk about today, which is our first topic, is fear and growth, and how they affect each other, and whether you should embrace it or whether you should try to overcome it. So I read this really useful anecdote, and this acronym that states that fear stands for fear. One second. I'm sorry. I done messed up. My whole monologue. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. I just want to say to that is true, but a part of that as well is I wouldn't necessarily say that the evidence itself is false. I would say that it's misguided. And the reason why I say that is because there is always the possibility of failure. There is always the possibility of success. But I think when fear comes into play, you start to misguide your thoughts about this in the wrong way, and it stops becoming, I hope this works, how can I make this work, into I can't do this, I can't, make something out of myself. And I think that's where this gets misconstrued. But, it's always, it always makes you doubt yourself, and it always makes you doubt your accomplishments. And that's where fear kind of becomes a negative thing. So for me specifically, I remember, well, not even remember, this morning. I woke up at like 5 a.m, because I always fucking do. And I walked outside onto my patio, and I was just looking outside. And for those who don't know me, and for those who do, I really enjoy like the quiet time, honestly. I enjoy when there's no one else around to fucking bug me. And it's just me. Because that's when I can really like think and get my thoughts out. So I was sitting there and I was looking at the sun, and I was like, yo, I can really do this shit. And upon thinking about that, the fear in my heart just like skyrocketed, and it became this like dichotomy of fear of failure, but then at the same time, fear of success. And that like freaked me the fuck out, because like it's one thing to fear if you fail, but then to fear if you succeed, now there's no positive outcome where you don't have fear just shaking through you. And at the same time that I was freaking out to myself, mind you, completely silent freak out, by the way. There is no, just completely silent freak out. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, damn, this shit could really happen. And as I was freaking out, I calmed myself down, and I was like, no, you shouldn't fear this so much. And even though you are fearing it, it just means that you're growing. And I think there's such an interesting relationship between fearing something and growth. Because when you fear something, you're cautious about it. So you research it extra, you take extra steps to go about it, you double check and triple check and make sure things are working. And there are many people, myself included, where I like to rise to the occasion, and that extra pressure I put on myself helps me make my content and whatever I choose to do that much better. But I think that like apart from that as well, like fear not only can it like help you, but it can also hurt you, And I think there's a difference between fear and being afraid. And I think the difference is a lot of people are going to tell you, hey, you need to overcome your fear. You need to stomp it out. You need to stomp it out like it stole something. I don't think so. I think that there needs to be a balance, right? Because I think if you overcome your fear, you become arrogant, you become cocky, you become prideful, you start making mistakes, and you start messing up. But if you let fear overcome you, you then go from being afraid, you then go from being cautious to being afraid. And the difference in that is now you're no longer trying to solve this problem, right? Because when you fear something, it is essentially a problem. And because it's a problem, your brain and you want to figure out how to solve this problem, how to get better. But once you become afraid, it no longer is it's no longer a step-by-step problem-solving process. It's now just a fear, like being in the dark or clowns. And because of that, you're not trying to get better. You've stopped growth because you're afraid. And I think that's where fear becomes negative, is when we as creatives, we as anyone trying to accomplish anything, let fear like become like being afraid. And I think that's when you need to take a step back and reevaluate. And that is like, that's the weird relationship between fear and growth, where you need fear to make sure that what you are doing, you are cautious about, and it's the best you can possibly be, because you fear failure. And you need fear because you need to make sure that you keep yourself level-headed for when success does come. But at the same time, you don't want to ingrain it so hard that you become afraid of your own of your own success and afraid of your own failure, because that's when you stop growing as a person. And that's the true death of your creativity, because then you're afraid to make any moves, you're afraid to take any risks, you're afraid to take any chances, and that is like the worst. So that brings me to another point. Should you embrace it or try to overcome it? Now, like I said previously, I don't think you should try to overcome it. I don't want to say embrace it because that sounds a little cliche, but I want to, the next time you feel fear, okay? The next time you feel fear, I want you to sit there and I want you to really evaluate why, you know? Really evaluate where it's coming from, what it's based off of, and does it hold any weight? Because I think that once you start to go and figure out the root causes of this, you can then figure out how you can do better in managing that fear, you know? You can figure out if that fear has any grounds, and if it does, how you can solve that problem. And if this fear doesn't have any ground, then you can go about the process of getting it out of your system, right? And sometimes I think that's the biggest like reminder we need, is that, hey, fear doesn't always and that's where, you know, it tunnels back into the, you know, false evidence appearing real, is that it doesn't always have to be true. It has some basis on reality, but it doesn't have to be necessarily true. So with that said, it's all about recognizing where it's coming from and dealing with it at the source, rather than letting it consume you and then going from fear to being afraid, you know? Because fear is this base instinct, right? It's that feeling you get when you're in the dark by yourself and when you think someone's watching you. It's a battle instinct meant to keep you alive. And especially when you're creating something, fear is there to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do and that you're double checking and triple checking your content and whatever you're creating to make sure it's the best it can be. And I think that's like the most important thing, is to recognize that it is a part of you and that it's a part of the process. You know, it is a part of the process. It's a part of just the learning curve and the process of learning how to create and how to be proud of your work and how to handle success and handle failure. It's a part of everything that we do, and trying to constantly overcome this biological aspect of ourselves, I feel like is holding us back from the growth that we could achieve if we just accepted it and dealt with it as a part of ourselves. Now, speaking of dealing with a part of ourselves that we need to deal with, right? We need to deal with the part of ourselves that doesn't like to put anything up, right? We as people, especially creatives, don't like to fail. So when we don't like to fail, we sometimes revert to the, well, I can't fail if I never tried, right? I can't fail if I never put anything up on the board. And so I wanted to talk about my topic number 2, which is you have to put something on the board to grow. You have to put something on the board to improve. Now, on that, my first thought is, in order to improve, you have to have a starting line somewhere, right? You have to have a starting point where, after a certain amount of time, you can verify your progress, right? Because the problem is with this is that when you don't verify your progress, when you don't see where you've come from, you get into this point where you get discouraged because you're like, I'm not growing as fast as I want to. I see all these other content creators that are doing all these amazing things and going onto these amazing places and taking all these amazing photos, and they have millions of subscribers and millions of followers. And we all get into that mode, right? But that's when you need to turn back and look where you came from and say, well, I'm way better than I was. And that's how you can start to validate your own creativity and your own creative process, right? But to even get there, we got to put stuff on the board. And like I said, I think as creatives, we don't want to fail so bad. Like, we do not want to fail at all. We don't want to bare our souls to the world only to fail, right? No one wants to do that. So because of that, like, we never put something up, right? We're always tinkering with it. We're always like, I could change this and I could add this and it would become better. But the problem is we're wasting time that you can never get back. And that's really where it comes down to, where you just got to put something on the board, man. Like, you just gotta, like, case in point. So to get to this podcast, I've had the idea for this podcast for several months, right? I've had several ideas. I can't even tell you how bad some of my ideas were. I can't even tell you how bad some of my ideas were. That's not the point. That's a video for another time. But it took me 6 months to get here. And you know why? It was because I was afraid. Because I had let my fear of failure, the fear that this podcast that you're listening to right now would not be successful, it would not be sustainable, it would not be, something that I would enjoy doing, and it wouldn't be something that people would enjoy listening to. So because of that, I didn't even try. I slowly, crafted the idea on my side, nothing really serious. I grabbed different pieces and studied some articles and watched some people's other podcasts to see what they did. I didn't really put energy to it though. I didn't believe it as much as I want you to believe it, I didn't grasp it the way I want you to grasp it. So because of that, I didn't go anywhere. So after 4 or 5 months, since I had no starting point, I couldn't go back and go, oh, that's what I should have done, man. That's where I could have gone better, because I never put anything on the ground. And so finally I kicked myself in the face and I was like, dude, if you don't get your fucking ass on and put something on the fucking board, bro, that's something that I gotta talk about. Hold on. I gotta take a second of this water because my throat's a little dry. Damn, that shit good. Woo! I realized that as an adult, water is so fucking lit. And I realized that sounds fucking stupid, but when I was a kid, man, trying to drink water was just not a thing. If I wanted to drink water, if my parents wanted me to drink water, they'd have to claw me tooth and nail, because I was about that juice, that Tropicana, that soda, all that good shit. But I'm still about that, make no mistake. I'm still about that shit. But now I can, as an adult, I can appreciate the aspects and the goodness that is water. But that's the point. So where was I? Okay, so I started the podcast, right? Well, I didn't even start the podcast actually. I'm gonna walk you through the process, right? So I bought the mic, and the mic you're seeing right now, a clean $300 mic, beautiful mic. Shout out to Blue Yeti, sponsor your boy. And because of that, I was like, all right, buying this will push me to start, And then hold on, because I feel like this pop filter's a little bit in my face. Shh. Got it. Okay. Woo. Oh, there was a guy. All right. So I was like, oh, this will help me start this podcast. This will push me. And then my dumbass had the idea of making a video version that, if you're watching right now on youtube.com/Coffee Shop Network, Google us, you'll find us, I assure you, or put us on YouTube. That is, again, Coffee Shop Network. I wanted a video version. So because I wanted a video version, I learned how to do Twitch, right? And then I went on Twitch and I spent a week and a half going on Twitch and learning how to use Twitch so I could get comfortable on camera and I could get comfortable talking to a mic, right? And then I go around and I buy a webcam, and then I fuck around with that for a couple days and I'm still not happy. And I'm like, all right, I bought this webcam. This will surely, push me to do this. This will surely get me where I want to go, right? And then I'm like, nah, man, if I'm going to do this, I need quality. Oh, matter of fact, let me backtrack to you to how far this procrastination on this has gone. So before I even bought the mic, The desk, the chair, everything that you see around me that I'm sitting on and around, I bought this and my girlfriend bought this on IKEA. So I originally wanted a studio set, an office set, so that I could record this podcast, away from my bedroom. Because that way it would feel a little more professional. It would help me sound a little bit more confident. All that good shit. But with that, I blew a couple $100. This chair wasn't cheap. It's comfortable, but it wasn't cheap. I'm so poor. But anyway, so we bought this. I set it up, and I'm like, oh man, this is gonna push me. It didn't push me. I just had a nice desk and an empty room. And then I bought the mic, which I was like, oh, I got the mic now. I'm definitely gonna do this all the time. It didn't work. Then I went on Twitch, like I said. It didn't work. And then finally, I bought a new laptop. I bought a good camera. I got these lights and a green screen and all that good shit. And I still wasn't doing it. And I was like, yo, dude, you've invested a couple G's at this point into this project. When are you gonna fucking do it, And then, one day, I just got up after beating myself up for a week, and I was like, okay, all right, I'll do it. And so I started working on it. But I say all that to say, nothing, if you are thinking, a lot of people say, if you really care about what you're doing, you'll put money on it, that's going to make you want to do. No. Putting money on something is just you putting money on something. If you didn't really want to do it when you thought you wanted to do it, if that really wasn't what you wanted to do at the time, you're not going to do it. You're just not. You're not. At a certain point, you have to decide for yourself what you really want out of life and what you really want to contribute to the world. And until you make that decision, until you take the steps to actually create and learn and join the process and enjoy the process, you're not going to get there. But I promise you that once you start, you're going to be able to quantify the growth that you've seen over a period of time. Already, right? This may be the first podcast, but I've learned so much after the first month that I've dedicated to this, full time, dedicated my time and energy into learning and growing and setting up things. I've learned so much. So, and I'm not going to tell you that there still aren't going to be days where I don't wake up and I'm like, yo, man, I can't do shit, man. I'm not creative, bro. No one's going to look at this shit. No one's going to watch it. Who wants to watch me, man? Who wants to watch me? And I beat myself up. But then, thanks to the fact that I have a support system that's there to help me, and thanks to the fact that I have a support system of myself where I can look at myself and be like, nigga, come on, bro. Come on, bro. You know it's not that bad, bro. Come on. And I can get up and I can look at my growth and go, yo, a month ago, you didn't have this YouTube channel. You didn't have this podcast. You didn't have that Twitch channel. You didn't have that Patreon. You have it now because you worked for it. And I think that's so amazing that you can quantify and you can chronologue your journey, right? And that's what this whole podcast is for. That's what this YouTube channel is for. It's to chronologue my journey so that someone else who wants to go on this journey, who's doubting themselves, who doesn't know if they want to continue it, and doesn't even know if they really want to start it, can come on and say, if that bald head ass, Google head ass nigga can look at this shit and you can do this shit, I can do that shit, bro. Come on now. Listen, you gotta put something out. I'm gonna be honest. You gotta put something out. There are so many bad products and bad projects out there. There are so many trash artists, trash writers, trash movies. I know you have seen a trash movie that you said, yo, I could write this better. I know you have seen you have heard a trash song. I'm looking at you, NBA Youngboy, NLE Chopper, whoever, all you mumble rappers, I'm looking at y'all. I know people have heard those songs and said, yo, what the fuck is this garbage, bruh? I could do better. Yes, you can do better, but you know what? Real talk, being real harsh right now, at least they put some shit out. Bar none, at least they put some shit out to be judged. truthfully, we as creatives can't judge other creatives truthfully until we have put some shit out. And I think that's the truth. Like, you gotta put something out. Like, and let's be honest, all right? Nothing is gonna be perfect the first time. I'm sure that by episode 30 of this podcast, my podcast notes will be more extensive and will be different. The podcast will have better timing. It'll be more concise. I'll have better graphics on it. You know, it'll be mixed better. I'll use a more expressive voice. I'll use better hand motions. I'll have a better setup. I'll edit it better. What the fuck ever. The point is, it's gonna get better every episode because I'm trying, because I'm trusting my process, and I'm understanding that shit has to get better. It has to evolve and change because I am actively seeking that, right? So if you don't put something on the board, you never start that process, right? You never start to actively improve because you're not improving on anything. You're just procrastinating. And that isn't to say, push yourself every day. Take some time off, bro. Take some time. Relax. Do what you want to do when you want to do it. But that is to say, if you have some project that you're sitting on, if you have some grand manuscript, if you have some movie idea that you've been sitting on, some YouTube idea, a podcast, a painting, a drawing, what the fuck ever. Go ahead and do that shit, bro. You can do it. Stop letting yourself tell you you can't. Stop letting other people tell you you can't. Stop. I know that our society and Instagram and social media makes us seem like all these influencers are so much better than us and are so much more like smart and so much more, creative. That's not true. Like, they live with the same 24 hours that you do. The only difference is that they keep putting stuff on the board, man. They keep putting stuff on the board. And that's the big difference. That's the major difference, is that every day that you don't put something up, they're putting something up. So whether or not they're getting better or whether or not you're not, time is moving and they are accomplishing something. And there is something to be said about being on the grind, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I hate Rise and Grind Twitter. Hold on. I'm putting it on wax. I hate Rise and Grind Twitter. No, I don't think you should be working 7 days a week. No, I don't think you should be working more than 40 hours. No, I don't think you need to be taking every minute of every day to build Fortune 500 companies. No. But I do think that we should be striving to accomplish something every day. I don't care how big it is. I don't care how small it is. If it is just writing another line on your book, if it is just making a graphic for your YouTube, if it is planning something, put something on the fucking board, man. Come on. If you truly believe in what you want to do, if you truly believe in what you're trying to achieve, at a certain point, you got to kick yourself in the ass and get in gear, bro. That's all, man. That's really what it is, right? Like, I'm telling you, like, and I'll be honest, this shit is difficult. This creative journey that I'm on is difficult, and every day I doubt myself, and every day I fear what is to become. I fear my success. I fear my failure. I fear public scrutiny. I fear a lot of shit, I just fear a lot of shit because that's what it takes, right? But because I don't let my fear evolve into me becoming afraid, I keep going, right? I wake up every day and I keep going. And that's what you need to do. That's just what you need to do. All right? So with that said, I'm gonna take this a little bit farther back. And so I'm gonna start a new segment on this podcast called Pop Culture Review. Now, the name could change, whatever. Like I said, we build this damn plane, we'll be flying it, you heard? And I just want to quickly talk about Lovecraft Country, episode 3. Now, first off, let me clear it first off by saying, Jordan Peele, J.J. Abrams, And hold on. I gotta look this up. Hold on, I gotta look this up because I want to see who made this. I got because there's one other name I'm forgetting, and I don't want to forget her name because she or he is beautiful, and they've created an amazing series. Hold on, give me a second. Live Audible on the fucking play. How y'all doing today? How y'all doing today? How y'all doing today? Y'all got snacks? Y'all good? Y'all got water? I got water. Woo! All right, one second. Alrighty. All right, let's see. Let's go into the IMDb. Misha Green. There she is. That beautiful black lady, Misha Green. Jordan Peele, J.J. Abrams, and Misha Green have created my favorite show of all fucking time. That show is beautiful, and it is both terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. I just want to say that they are 3-0 with making sure racists got their just desserts. For episode 3, this shit is immaculate. I love it. I love everything about it. It's truly just like amazing. Like the authenticity of blackness there, right? The black joy that I get from watching actors of color truly portray these roles, and the settings, the authenticity of the racism, right? The authenticity of the reactions of black people, right? Although I'm gonna preface that by saying episode 3, I don't know, because as a little black boy, you would have not caught me. Fuck, as a black boy. Matter of fact, as a black person in general, you would have not caught me fucking around with no Ouija board, right? Ain't no way in hell me, none of my niggas, none of my brothers, or anyone that I know of same color or brown skin color in general is fucking with them Ouija boards. I don't know, but that's besides the point. I'll give y'all a pass because y'all needed that to move the story forward. Fuck it. But that show, every episode has felt like a season finale of a show that's just started, and it's beautiful. The set designs, the chick that plays Letitia fucking Lewis, her fucking fit has been fire. My boy Tick, his muscles have been on point. It's been a wild ride, and I'm looking forward for it for so much. I love everything about this show. I love everything about this show. Now, let's move on to the general synopsis. So, episode 3 opens up with Letitia Lewis buying a new house. Now, this house is in an all-white neighborhood. As you know, during the post-Jim Crow, a lot of neighborhoods were not neighborhoods, suburbs. So if you don't know, originally minorities, and still to this day mostly, live in metropolitan, would that be the right word? City areas. They live in city areas. So the reason why that is because people of color normally have lower incomes. So because of that, they can't afford cars or other modes of transportation. So because of that, they have to live closer to their jobs. So seeing that, a lot of white people, when the suburbs were first invented, moved out farther because they could afford those vehicles, and they created these safe havens known as, the suburbs, the American dream, what have you. Now, if you also don't know, in a lot of the deeds of white suburban homes, you're gonna find a little clause that says that you cannot sell or rent this house to an African American. Or maybe it just says Negro, whatever. You can't sell it to someone who looks like me. Either way, I guess this house was not one of them, and I'm guessing it was not one of them, and they let that go because it was haunted. So Letitia Lewis buys this haunted house. Now, it is a little dilapidated, but she commissions her sister to move in with her so that they can fix it up and they can offer it as a platform and as a safe space for people of color. So obviously, the white man didn't like that. So these 3 white boys pull up and they leave their cars with their horns, with bricks attached to the horns. And what's crazy about that is so there's this cool ass scene where Letitia takes a bat and there's this gospel music playing in the background. That shit was hot. That shit was fire. So anyway, she takes the bat and she goes bop, and she breaks the windows and she drops the bricks off it. And as soon as she did it, the cops roll up. And I just want to say again, Misha Green, how authentic that truly is, because like that, the fact that cops don't show up in black neighborhoods and in people of color neighborhoods as quickly as they do in white neighborhoods, and the fact that that Letitia and all of her, you know, her friends and her sister and Tick didn't even like try to fight it, they just immediately got on the ground. It is very true to the social climate of, you know, people of color in America. So I'm getting all off topic. I'm going all around the story. That's what I do. I'm a little spaz. But anyway, so she buys the haunted house, right? And of course, crazy haunted shit keeps happening, right? So she is trying to figure this shit out, and she's all like fucking like Sherlock. She's all Sherlock on the shit, trying to figure it out, right? So she's in a diner and she's looking mad stressed, right? She's looking wild stressed. And Tick rolls up and he's like, "Hey yo, you good?" And she goes, "The house is haunted." And he goes, "All right, walk me through it." That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. We support black women. No questions asked, no questions answered. He immediately jumped on it. So they do their research and they find out that the haunted house was owned by this racist ass white dude who was taking black women and not even just black women, but black people in general, and he was just experimenting on them, right? So they order this seance person, this like, I don't want to call her a witch doctor because I don't really know what she would be called, medium maybe. Anyway, so she comes through and she like slices this goat, and she kills it on the spot and drains his blood. And then like she goes in and they do like a seance to like get rid of the ghosts and shit. Now, my favorite part, as usual, that I'm finding in these Lovecraft Country episodes, and Misha Green, if you ever watch this, please continue, is when the racist white people get their just desserts. 3 white boys, the same ones who I assume had the car, saw a woman kill a goat. She didn't kill this goat like in the backyard. No, she did this in the front. This was a live goat. This was a live goat that she cut and it dripped. And then they went inside. So they saw this and they said, racism. Time to go get me some Negroes. So these 3 idiot white boys walk through and get murked. They get packed out to the afterlife. And after that, so they're doing a seance, right? And Letitia Lewis and Atticus, or Tick, is in a circle with the medium, right? And I guess the racist white dude ghost wasn't feeling it because he like tossed it. He busts the sprinkler to move their circle around, and then he like possesses Tick and like possesses first he possesses the medium, right? And then he possesses Tick. And well, first off, like, side note, possession, I don't need nobody to possess me because I don't know if like his racist like genes like leave any like imprint. Like I don't want to like come back and I got like some racist thoughts. I don't want that. But anyway, so where was I? I'm getting too hyped about this. Look, I fucking love this show. I love this show. Okay, so the racist white ghost, he takes over Tick, and Letitia, she's like chanting. She's like, "Oh my way, oh my great fi ji sao," and she's chanting and shit. And then you just see all the ghosts that racist white ghost circle around Tick, who's possessed, and they start coming back to life. And she's like, "You ain't dead yet. You can still fight." And there's this like this powerful scene, and they're all chanting. And then she's like, "Get the fuck out of my house!" And yo, those black ghosts packed out that racist white ghost. And the story closes. Now, here's what I'll talk about when I say that Lovecraft Country, every episode always feels like a season finale. So after that, my boy Tick, he goes to do his own thing, which I'll get back to later. But Letitia Lewis, she reinvigorates the house finally, and she makes it as a house for people of color who need help, get back on your feet and whatnot. And so this whole time, right, this whole episode, the elevator's been tripping, and it's because it was haunted. But now, the final scene we see at the house is the elevator going down, and it shows the bodies of the 3 white dudes just buried underneath, and it was fucking crazy. So, but more importantly, when I talk about the season finale type deal, so Tick goes over to this white chick who's related to him and is like his like cousin or something. I don't really know how they're related, but they're related. And he tries to murk her, but she's a wizard. She's on her Harry Potter shit. So she stops him, and right before she lets him go, right before the scene cuts off at the end of the episode, she's like, now come on, Tick. You know you can't go around killing white women. And let me just say, the writing in this show is phenomenal. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, as a black person, I am enjoying and somehow feeling stressed out about every episode that comes out and transpires. And episode 3 has been nothing short of amazing. Now, I want to just say, like, well, first off, a full review will be coming out in its own separate video, but I love talking about creativity on this podcast because I want to give like live examples of positive creativity and just how that can impact people. So, what are the main takeaways of this episode? I want to say one of the main takeaways from this episode is moving on and dealing with trauma, right? So. And that's both past and present trauma. So we see this dichotomy in episode 3 of, and if you don't know, spoiler alert, Uncle George is dead. Sad. You see this dichotomy of the struggles of Uncle George's wife having to deal with his death and the mysterious circumstances about his death and not being told the truth and how she's trying to move on. And by the way, amazing acting from her. Like every actor there, I'm gonna keep saying that because every actor there was truly amazing. Even the people playing racist people, because I truly believe they were racist. And if I saw them in the street in their costumes, I'd square up. Anyway, any fucking way. So you see this anger and this resentment and this almost hate for everything that Uncle George loved because it just reminds her of him. And on the other hand, then you see Letitia's sister, who has to deal with the trauma of having bad blood between her and her sister, and her trying to overcome that, and then her relapse into that when she learns that Letitia got an inheritance money from their deceased mother. But then at the same time, you also see the trauma of the black ghosts, right? And how to try to deal with that trauma, they just lashed out, right? They lashed out on anyone who tried to own that house. And how it wasn't until these traumas are like brought to light and exposed and brought up to discussion that the ghosts were able to move on. And I think that when it comes to trauma, like that's the most important thing, is bringing it up and confronting it, right? Because, and that's the thing with a lot of people, especially creative people, is that we all have traumas that we run from, that we hide from, and that keeps us that stunts our growth, right? And it isn't until we address them and say, hey, I have a problem. Hey, I have an issue. Hey, I'm a ghost trapped in this racist-ass white house that you can, move on to the other side and finish your unfinished business. And I think that's really important. I think that's something that we especially in the black community need to tackle when it comes to mental health, is dealing with childhood trauma, dealing with trauma that comes along in our lives that we may not even recognize, and address it and move forward. And I think once we start to do that, we're going to be in a much better position. So with that said, like I said, I'm going to be doing a full review on this episode and the previous episodes. Look out for that video. I got a lot more I want to talk about it, but I just wanted to quickly highlight that because, like I said, I am a fan of creativity. I'm especially a fan of black creativity and people of color being on the big screen and giving people role models and showing them that they too can act at that level with that level of production and that level of amazing writing. So, yeah. So this podcast has kind of flew by, right? It kind of flew by. Thanks for watching. I just want to enter in some closing statements real quick, you know. But before my closing statements, I just want to reiterate, a summary of this episode. Quick, my main takeaway. What you should take away from this episode, if anything, from my damn rambling. You gotta trust the process. All right, plain and simple. You have to trust the process. Give me 1 second. Whew, my throat is dry. Ooh, my throat was dry. Shit. All right. Now where was I? Okay. So you gotta trust the process. All right. Nothing is gonna be perfect the first time, right? And it's all about tweaking and learning and growing and just improving. But you can't improve until you put something on the board, right? Until you put something on the board and you try something new, you're not gonna go anywhere. You're not gonna grow. And buying something is not going to, putting money down on it, as they say, is not going to push you, right? You have to push you. You have to push you, and you have to overcome being afraid and turn being afraid back into the original fear that it was, so that you can deal with it and problem solve it, right? And the next time you feel fear, hey, take a step back, evaluate that fear, evaluate where it comes from, evaluate if it has any basis on reality, and try to create a way to solve that problem. And I promise you're going to see exponential growth, and you're going to see how far you've come in a few short, days, weeks, months, whatever. You're going to be able to see it. Also, you have to be willing to look ugly. Be honest with you. You got to be willing to look ugly to improve, okay? Like I said, let me just reiterate, the first one's not going to be that great. And that's okay. The first one actually might be great, but you know what? The next one, and so on and so forth, will be even better. And there's so much trash writing and music and everything that's out there. Yo, you can do whatever the fuck you want to, and I promise you it'll be better than that stuff. But before you can even make that judgment, before you can even say that type of thinking, you have to put something on the board, right? Because we cannot accurately judge other people if we have not also taken that leap of faith out there to go and do something, right? So, with that, right? 1 second. The main thing with that, the main thing is to, like I said, don't seek to overcome that fear. Embrace it, figure out where it comes from, and stop trying to always stamp it down. Instead, allow yourself to be in the moment, be mindful, understand where it comes from, and deal with it, right? So, like I said, trust the process. Start. I promise you, as you keep going, you're going to be able to look back and see how far you've come, all right? So that's all I got on my show notes. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. Again, thank you so much for listening or watching. If you're watching this at YouTube / Coffee Shop, I forgot my own name, Coffee Shop Network, on youtube.com. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please rate this podcast 5 stars on Apple Podcast. Like I said, that helps move us up the algorithm and brings in new listeners and all that good stuff, which I need because I am poor. I need to keep my lights on. I'm eating ramen. Speaking of which, me being poor, if you really want to support our content, please consider visiting our website at www.giftedbiscuits.com. I'm fucking up all over today. Like I said, your first podcast, your first anything, matter of fact, is not going to be perfect. And that's okay. Please consider visiting our website, www.giftedbiscuit.com. We post articles frequently having to do with topics that we've talked about on the podcast, as well as other topics. And we expound in very greater detail. So if you want to read more about inspiration, motivation, and all that shit in between, hey, like I said again, visit www.giftedbiscuits.com. Giftedbiscuit.com for more. Also consider donating to our Cash App. It's $ Captain CoStar. It will be somewhere on the video. I haven't decided yet where I'm putting it. It's either going to be top left or top right. And if you're on the video version, it should be somewhere here, like I said. Either way, thank you again for listening. Make sure to follow us wherever podcasts are found. That can be Spotify, Apple, wherever. Thank you so much, and I'm going to see you guys on the next episode. Peace. If you like this episode, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for all of our new episodes. Also, consider visiting www.giftedbiscuit.com for more in-depth articles from inspiration to motivation to much more. Have a great day.